This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Well, good afternoon. We're here talking about your business and how we can help you to grow and profit from your business even more. And for the first time today, we have Dawn Hackett.
Hi.
Hey, Dawn. Good afternoon.
Thanks.
Happy Saturday.
Yes, good to be here.
Yeah, beautiful day here in Ohio. And Dawn is our newest business coach who just went to training back in, December?
December.
Was it December?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Pretty exciting.
Yes, it is. It's very, very good. And we are business coaches, and we work with a variety of companies around the country, actually. We've got maybe a third of them that are out of state. So a lot of my clients don't like to see me. They just talk to me on the phone for some strange reason. But we work with companies to help them grow, almost always help them grow. And then a lot of our time is spent on people issues, so relationships, leadership, management, hiring, keeping people, right? Retaining talent.
Right.
And Dawn, why don't you give us a little bit about your background? Tell us a little bit about your experiences, because I think it's really interesting, and it applies to business coaching directly.
It certainly does. Well, I was a middle school teacher.
Bless you.
I know. Everyone just thinks, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you tolerated middle schoolers.
Voluntarily?
Well, I mean, and the funny thing is, middle school teachers love middle school kids.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, I know. They're a little bit off, just like the kids are.
My mom was a school teacher, but she was about 5 foot tall. And she started in kindergarten and went all the way up to 6th grade, and then she went back to 3rd grade because the kids were a little smaller.
That's right.
So she said, those 6th graders are too big for me. You know?
So really, coaching is all about teaching.
Uh-huh.
And I have taught for a long time. I've done a lot of professional development, so adult education,
for
with
yourself.
Other teachers, for myself, put on seminars for other teachers. Mm-hmm. And then I was president of the Teachers Union.
Which is great experience.
Which was really great because I represented everyone who got in trouble, everyone who was on an improvement plan, everybody who was. So that was kind of my job, was to work with people who really needed coaching, who needed help.
Right.
You know, most of them.
Didn't know when to stop talking, some of them, right?
Well, but, most of them were good teachers. There was they needed to learn something. They needed to do something differently. And
gotcha.
so, most of them were really good-hearted and just had some issues that needed to be overcome. Yeah. And so I worked with them to take care of that. And then I worked in wellness for a while. I worked for an international insurance broker for 7.5 years, and I worked with wellness and well-being. And what I did with that is really a lot like what we do in coaching. We would go into the client and we'd say, okay, now we're going to discuss wellness, and here's what it looks like, and here's what are the components of wellness programs. Right. And then we would say, okay, what are you already doing in wellness? What's going well for you?
What's working? Maybe what's not working so well.
Maybe what's not working. What things
Why
we need to...
Why have you all gained 8 pounds in the last 2 years?
Why do we need to get rid of some things or change some things? And so we would do that.
Okay.
And then we would make a plan.
Yes.
And then if they needed help with some vendors, we would make that connection for them.
Find the right vendor or change vendors.
That's right. Okay. And then we would work the plan, then we'd evaluate it, and then we'd start from the beginning again. So basically what we're doing with coaching.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do have a 90-day planning session coming up on March 2nd, which is a Friday. It's an all-day session. It's in Grandview at one of our clients' offices at MA Architects, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and goes till about 3:30. And basically what we do is help you through structured development of your 90-day plan. So you'll have a plan for the second quarter if you attend this. And if anybody out there is interested in this, give us a call, 614-306-7922, and we'll get you a couple of tickets to that. And we generally have 45 to 50 people there from all different types of businesses. So.
And can you describe what the day looks like starting at 8 o'clock? What do we
Well, first of all, there's coffee and food, right? So that's number one.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there's food and wine and beer, so there's that. And then during the day, what we're going to do is start out with a learning. We always have learning in the beginning. For people that have never been before, the first hour is some structured concepts, some foundational concepts that we teach everyone. And we start with that. And for people that have been there before, they come an hour later, and then we have a general learning topic. And we generally will pick a topic that's interesting to everybody. And once we get done with the learning topic, that's about 10:30 to 11 o'clock, and then we start the actual planning session. And there's pre-work involved, so we ask people to look out longer term on their own time to figure out where they need the business to be in 1 to 3 years, and then come back and make a determination of what they really want to focus on during the 90-day session. So the 90-day session is all about looking forward and knowing where you want to be in a year. What do I need to do in the next 3 months to get closer to where I want to be in a year? Mm-hmm. And it's generally not all about just the business owner. It's about you and your management team picking the critical few things that you really want to get done in the quarter, and then developing an action plan for who does what by when, so you all have a plan. And then more important as picking what you are going to work on, you decide as a team what you're not going to work on and what you're going to set aside for a moment.
And so it's not just the business owner, it's the team would be invited to come. If we
Absolutely.
had someone listening
Yes.
that wanted to come,
Right.
they could bring someone
right.
with them.
And a lot of our companies, of course, they're all different types of companies and different businesses. And sometimes they'll bring a half a dozen people. Sometimes it'll just be 2 partners. It just depends on the business and where they're at in their planning process. We've got some people that have been coming for 7 or 8 years. So there are veterans that have been doing this for a long time. And then there are always some new people. So.
Right. And it's a structured process. It's not just, okay, sit down and plan. You've got 3 hours to do it.
And we make sure you don't copy from each other. No, we're kidding. Yeah. But.
And you also get to meet other business owners and
right.
get information from them, suggestions from them. So having the other business owners there is pretty important, isn't it?
Yeah. And they learn from each other. And we encourage a lot of discussion, a lot of talking and comparing notes. And if you're not sure about something, there's somebody at your table that can help you. And there's 4 of us in our firm, coaches, actually 5 now with Pete, and that'll come around and answer questions and help you through difficult things. And the difference between a strategy and an action, and how do I get clarity on this goal, and how do I get my team engaged, and all those kind of things. So we try to help people to focus in on a critical few.
Well, and I think at the last one, Pete and I were not there. We were otherwise engaged, but at the last one...
Well, where were you?
I was at training.
You were at training, right? It was
you?
training in December.
Yeah,
That's a good excuse.
You were training for the Olympic ski team, right?
No, that was a couple weeks ago. I was in Thailand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I just happened to catch a plane to Thailand.
That's right. But I wanted to say that from what I understand, it's not just you come in and plan. There are people there who will challenge you. And they'll say, well, what are you doing about this? Well, is that working for you? Well, what do you need? I mean,
Right.
So you don't just come in and say, oh,
Right.
status quo. People are going to ask you questions, and they're going to be tough questions.
Because they've been through it before.
That's right.
Right, and they do care. And sometimes when you describe how you're going to implement a goal to somebody else, it helps you get clarity on what you're actually going to do. Mm-hmm. And when you have to say it to somebody else, it also encourages you to actually take action on it when you leave.
Right.
If I've told you my goal, even if I haven't written it down, I'm much more likely to go do something about that goal when I leave the room because I told you about it, right?
That's
so
exactly
now
right.
I've got another person holding me accountable. So,
Yeah.
Well, the topic today, our show today, is about the benefits of being a misfit. Now it sounds fun, right? Alan's like, "Holy cow! What are they gonna do about this?" And we're not talking about anybody in particular. This author, this gentleman, wrote a book. His name is Walter Isaacson, and you've probably heard about this book. I haven't read it yet. I like history books, so I may actually read this one. He wrote a biography of Leonardo da Vinci, and he's written other ones of Ben Franklin, Henry Kissinger, Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, and the guy obviously thinks that Da Vinci, in a lot of ways, was a misfit, as was Steve Jobs and some of these other folks, and why, in a lot of cases, it's an advantage to kind of look at the world a little bit differently. And we're going to talk about that with respect to to your business. But first, I've got some good news things. We have a lot of good news.
Wow.
And it may spill over into our next session. And you're going to think this is funny good news. Forecasts of $80 oil are spreading. So that may sound like bad news. But what it means is that the world economy is pretty good, and oil prices are going up.
Right.
Because there's demand. There's a lot of demand. 20% gain for crude futures over the last 12 months. And that's going to continue for a while. It's Europe. China's a little slower than the rest of the world, but between the U.S. and Europe, things are picking up. Columbus has been announced. I think it's Amazon looking for a second headquarters.
One of the possibilities.
We're one of the top 20
right.
finalists, which is really cool. That's good news, right?
We could
I mean,
use
who
that
knows?
here.
1 in 20, it's 5%, but hey, we could use that here, right? And
That's
it'll
right.
be big. It's whatever it is with them, it's going to be big, right?
It would be huge.
It'll be huge.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more Business Talk.
All right, we're talking today about the benefits of being a misfit, and Dawn Hackett and I are business coaches, and we work with a variety of companies around the
Country.
the country. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of. They're all over the place. We've got them
they
in
are.
Michigan and
Alaska.
Alaska, that's right, and Texas and Maryland and blah blah blah. I shouldn't say Michigan. I should say Ishigan. Thank you, Mark. Let's see, Toyota plant. Toyota is going to, in the first quarter of 2008, foreign automakers are kicking butt here. They're going to build more cars and trucks than the big three in Detroit, which is good news because most of these are being built here.
If they're
right?
built here,
because
it's
Honda
really good
is
news.
kicking out great vehicles all the time over here. And let's see, yeah, so that's a good thing. Oh, this one I like. Saudi women take a seat at the stadium. Now, a couple months ago, we announced that they allowed them to drive, and now they can go to a soccer game. Now, it sounds ridiculous. I mean, we have it made. We just don't realize it. But these women are soccer fans lining up at the Al Ahly Stadium to go to their first soccer game.
Good for them.
Yeah, so they can actually watch a soccer game. Well, no kidding. You should be able to do that. Good grief. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, good news you haven't heard. We're spitting out bonuses. Fiat Chrysler announced it's relocating a heavy-duty truck factory from Mexico, Saltillo, Mexico, to Warren, Michigan, creating 2,500 jobs. That's a big deal. We're actually moving a factory from Mexico to Michigan. Could have been Ohio, but, that's okay. We'll take it. Boeing and Airbus both built more jets last year than ever, and they still have huge backlogs. Airbus built 718 planes in 2017. How many is that a week? That's a lot.
A ton.
30 planes more than the year before. Boeing produced 763 airliners. Okay, so we beat those Europeans by 50.
Well, we need to keep replacing them. They get older and they need new planes in there.
And more people are flying.
Yeah.
And they're expensive, man. So that's all good news, and that creates a lot of jobs. Take-home pay is set to increase, and there's just a lot of things. 90% of workers are expected to get higher paychecks. So this is going to be over the next few weeks. Changes should be coming somewhere around mid-February. Some of them have already happened, but they're coming. So that's enough good news. I'm tired of it. That's enough.
It's just overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. It's crazy. All right. And our clients are busier than all get out. We also are going to a conference in San Diego. I should mention that as well. And we go a couple times a year, both as a North American group and as a global group. The North American conference is in San Diego in third week of February, which is perfect, right? It'll be 75 degrees there and sunny, just like Ohio.
Right.
And then in August, we're going to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia.
Island.
Hamilton Island. Now, I've never been there, but it sounds nice.
Sounds great
I bet
to
they
me.
have good seafood. So, and we get to see some world-class speakers, and we also get to hear some great stories from other coaches and learn some things from them. So we're looking forward to doing that. So let's get back to this book. So this gentleman wrote this book, and again, it's From Leonardo da Vinci to Steve Jobs, The Benefits of Being a Misfit. And the guy's name is Walter Isaacson. And this is an article from a newsletter that I get from the Wharton School. My son David went to Penn a few years back and was in computer science, and I still get a newsletter from the university every week with some really good articles. And this is picking this guy's brain a little bit. They interviewed this gentleman, and he's written a lot of other I've read the Steve Jobs biography. He was an interesting character, a little odd in some ways, but he was very focused, and he was involved in a marketing meeting every week, all the time for his company, the whole time he ran the company. So think about that. Every 5 business days, Steve Jobs is going to get into your face about what have you done lately to market my company. You know?
Yeah, I saw the movie. I didn't read his biography.
Yeah,
but,
I saw them both.
Looked like he was quite a character.
He was quite a character and kind of rough with people.
Yeah.
Which we don't recommend. You know, we want to be nice to people to the extent you can.
Yeah, and it seemed to carry over into his personal life, too.
Yeah, right. So the interview with this guy starts out talking about Da Vinci. He said, how do you write a biography on somebody who died 500 years ago? Well, he left 7,000 pages of notes, apparently. And I suppose now you can look at them online if you can read Italian. You know, I know Alan can, but I can't. I mean, good grief. And a lot of people kept notes. I mean, Steve Jobs kept a lot of notes. And one of the things he asked about is the interviewer said, you've written a lot about innovation and creative leadership, and you've seen patterns. So what do you think are some of the patterns between Franklin and Einstein and Steve Jobs? Any ideas? There's a lot of smart people around.
Right.
But they don't always connect the dots, right?
Right. Being smart and being a leader are probably two different things.
Yeah, and some of these folks are just naturally curious about everything. They want to know how everything works. And if you're in charge of a business or own a business or running a business or managing a large department in a bigger company, it helps to be curious about how everything works.
Right.
How it actually works or isn't working. So that's one of the big takeaways is that to be curious about everything. And so a question for you guys that are listening out there would be, okay, let's say you own your own company, you spend a lot of time in one part. A lot of times people come up through sales or they come up through operations, but they never spend any time in accounting or they never spend any time in the plant. You might want to get out of your comfort zone and go spend some time, and I mean actually physical time, like the undercover boss thing, and go work in the plant for a few days or hours per week, you know, kind of thing.
Right, because an hour isn't going to do it. You're not going to learn anything.
No, but it needs to be
that.
a significant amount of time, and start asking questions about every single thing you see. Mm-hmm. And there's always room for opportunities for improvement. And particularly if your background is in another area, when you get into a new area, as long as you're open to learning, you're going to discover some things that might be able to be improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or why do we do it that way?
When I was president of the teachers union, I taught middle school, and I wasn't as familiar with special ed as I needed to be. And, and that was a big area.
It's a whole field, right?
I mean, it's a lot. It's total, and all the legal stuff that goes along with it. And so I called central office and I said, hey, I want to go and hang out in special ed classrooms. Who should I go see? And so there were 4 special ed teachers.
Just to learn.
Just to learn. And I went,
Great.
How does this work? What does this look like?
Right.
And so I'd go for a day for each one, and then kept in touch with them so that that was the way that I learned.
Yeah.
I could have read something online, but it wouldn't have been the same as actually being there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so there's one challenge, a piece of homework for you guys listening, is that whatever department you're in charge of, or let's say you're the president of the company, owner of the company, wherever your roots are, go somewhere where your roots aren't. Mm-hmm. And spend some time. Number one, you're going to get to know those employees better.
Right.
Number two, you're going to understand what their real challenges are. What are they up against every day? And is there something that you could help them to do their jobs better for your customers?
Yeah.
And you're almost always going to find something that'll surprise the dickens out of you. So One of the things that, I'm going back to the article here again, this book is by Walter Isaacson, and it's Leonardo da Vinci is his most recent book, but he's written other biographies. And Penn, it has pioneered cross disciplines a lot more so than some schools. They don't want departments and disciplines to be siloed too much, and Franklin did that. It mentions an example here of Ben Franklin. He went up and down the coast looking at how swirls of air resembled the swirls of northeastern storms, and he discovered the Gulf Stream. Ben Franklin discovered the Gulf Stream.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I mean, good grief. He did a lot of things, you know.
Right.
I mean, putting a kite up in the air in a lightning storm, we don't recommend that nowadays. But he did discover some things that are pretty cool.
Yeah. The curiosity thing.
Yeah,
That's what led
about
him
being
to that.
curious. Why does that happen? And Steve Jobs mentions that a lot of their success was at the intersection of art and technology. So the phone looks beautiful, but it also works simply and beautiful in its simplicity. Leonardo da Vinci was the same kind of thing, who made no distinction between the beauty of art and science. So why is it that you can look at these things, and operations is a very logical, most of the time, orderly thing, but sometimes having somebody else come in and take a look at it can help you discover something that really needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what kind of examples do you think you might have from your experience in the teaching field to where this could apply to a business owner?
Of leadership, or of what in particular?
Yeah. Well, running a business, and how do you let your curiosity run wild and learn something about your business that you don't know?
Wow, that's a tough one. You know, when you're in education, you're teaching, you have to be curious all the time. You can't just do the same thing every day, the same way, and make it have impact. You know, I suppose business owners, you have to have some kind of process that you use in general, but you have to spice it up a little bit too. You have to make it fun. You have to, I mean, who wants to go to work if it's no fun?
Right. Well, that's a good question for everybody. So what is it that you can do next week, let's say, just next week, to make your business a little bit more fun?
Mm-hmm. For yourself and everyone else.
And for your employees, not
right.
just for yourself.
That's right.
You could take off early. That would do it. But what could you do at work that is not going to disrupt anything, but could make it a little bit more enjoyable? Right? And since you're the leader, you get to instigate these things, which can be fun, right?
That's right.
So why can't we do that? Why can't we get a lot done and be very productive and enjoy what we're doing and have fun and laugh a little bit?
Yeah.
So Leonardo made a list every day of things he wanted to learn.
Oh.
Why is the sky blue? And why do fish swim faster in water than birds do in air when the water's heavier? That's a good question. Franklin had a list of things that he wanted to improve on, of virtues, and then every month he would focus on one. He had like 12 or 16, and he would rotate what he focused on that month for what he was going to improve on. One month it might be physical stuff, one month it might be emotional, one month it might be learning. So he was constantly working on himself. I mean, that's one of the messages out of this, too, is that these guys always worked on themselves first.
You got to do that.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
All right, we're talking today about the benefits of being a misfit. As I try to hit my pop can with my pen, you know, I'm drumming here, right?
You are.
I'm a frustrated drummer. So this gentleman, Walter Isaacson, wrote a book about Leonardo da Vinci and a bunch of other people, and we're talking about some of the things that he learned while he was doing this. And da Vinci was gay. He was born out of wedlock. He was left-handed. He was vegetarian. He was a heretic in many ways, which back then wasn't all that healthy sometimes.
Right.
He lived in Florence, which is a place I really want to visit.
Gorgeous.
Been to northern Italy, but you've been to Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. It's cool, right?
Oh, it's great.
It's got to be cool, right? They accepted and assumed that, like Leonardo did, you could learn everything you wanted to know about anything you wanted, which was true. And nowadays, the author, he's talking here, he says we silo ourselves too much and we specialize too much. And sometimes the biggest takeaway is to step back and try to become curious about things again. And this is great for you business owners, I know, because we've been there. You get to where you're down, your head's down, and you're blasting through your day, and then your week, and then you're like, holy cow, it's the weekend, I'm relaxing. And then you do the same thing again on Monday, and pretty soon 2 years goes by. Mm-hmm. And you haven't really thought, well, where am I headed? And do I really love what I'm doing? And if I don't stop and think about my business a little bit, am I just going to repeat the same year I did last year?
Right. Know? Is there a better way to do this?
Yeah, or a more fun way, or is there a little innovation that we should come up with, or do I just keep doing the same stuff over again and do faster? Mm-hmm. Right.
And, I mean, how many times have you called someone and it's mailbox full, mailbox full, mailbox full?
That's true.
And
that's
you're
a
thinking,
sign,
That
right?
is a sign.
Yes, it is. If your email is full or your voicemail is full, then maybe you should delegate more.
That's right. Yeah, you need help in some way.
You've got to give something to someone.
That's right.
And allow them to actually do it. So, again, Leonardo made a list of things that he wanted to learn every day. Every day. What if we did that every morning? Just wrote down, what are a couple things I want to learn today?
Yeah, even if it was just one or two, that'd be great.
And it could be, and I'm thinking of one of our clients, Mark. Mark just sent out a note to all his employees and said, mark your calendar. And he's the president of this company. And the message was, once a month, the first 5 people to respond to this email at the beginning of each month are going to spend some time with me, and they're going to go have a beer together, they're going to go have breakfast together, they're going to go do lunch, and it'll be a group of the first 5 people that respond to his email every month.
Wow.
So this is the president of this company. He's been president for a long time, and it's his way, a unique way, of getting together with some of his employees, which I thought was really neat. It's a little different idea. So he's done I've had on my calendar to go out with a different employee to lunch every week or so, those kind of things. But this is a little bit different, where they'll get a little exposure to him and some of his thoughts on what they're working on and what they're doing and some of the challenges they're running into.
And some other people, the other 4 people in the group, right?
Yeah. Well,
or is he going out with each one
individually?
It'll
be 5 people. It'll be 5 people at a time.
Yeah.
So it'll be a different 5, I assume, unless
unless someone's right on that trigger
somehow,
every time.
Right? Yes. So Bill Gates actually talked this guy into writing the book. He said Leonardo was the last person in history who aspired to know everything there was to know about everything that was knowable, which is kind of a lot, right?
Really?
So he did spread himself a little thin. The one point we said is being curious all the time. And then the second point he makes is that we should not be afraid of daydreaming and then trying the impossible. And I've read a little bit about Warren Buffett, too, and one of the things he does is he schedules time to just be by himself and just think.
Right. A lot of the big business people do the meditation every day. They kind
meditation is one thing. Yeah, and just having an hour in your calendar every day where you're doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And he actually does that. And of course, he's 83 or 84, something like that. Yeah. He's going to retire maybe in the next few years, but still, he's 83.
Right.
But he puts some time in his calendar just to think. Mm-hmm. Period. So as a business owner, you're extremely busy. You're busy all the time. But it'd be good if you could stop and daydream a little bit and think about what could happen.
Right.
Or I've got a couple hours on Friday. Why don't I go spend it in the warehouse? Or why don't I go on one of our company trucks? And, the guys in the truck will have fun, right? As long as you're not nitpicking how messy their truck is. Why are there sandwich bags under the seats?
Or how they're driving.
Why are you driving 70 miles an hour and a 30 mile an hour?
Right.
So the other thing, they start talking about things with Da Vinci again. He made math mistakes. He left things unfinished. He came up with crossbows that wouldn't fire, or tanks that couldn't roll, or rivers that couldn't be diverted. So he made a lot of mistakes. He didn't finish things, but he was just human. So we got to give him a break And he beat himself up when he was near the end of his life. He said, well, did I ever accomplish anything? Did I get anything done?
Really?
Yeah. He was like beating up on himself. And the guy accomplished unbelievable amounts of things, right? The helicopter idea came because I've seen his drawings of a helicopter, and it came from a play. They were he had a job for putting costumes on people for big pageants and plays in the Medici family, and he made notes in his notebook about how to bring the angels down from the rafters, and that's where the helicopter thing came from.
Wow.
He wasn't actually just sitting there thinking about a helicopter. There was a purpose involved.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny, isn't it? And then a lot of us have kids. Is that you think about some kid asking you, why is it this way? Why is it that way? And finally the father turns around and says, just be quiet. And pretty soon, by the age of 15, the kid stops asking questions. Well, we don't want to do that, right? We want to keep daydreaming, okay? So that's point number 2 is keep daydreaming.
Yeah. The answer is probably, good question. Why don't you go look that up?
Yeah, that's what my dad used to do. If we didn't know a word, like if he'd use some word, and we go, what does that mean? And oh no, I shouldn't have said that, because you had to go to the dictionary, and you had to go look that word up and explain it to everybody, and then you had to tell them 2 words before that and 2 words after that. So you had to learn 5 words.
So you had to learn not to ask questions. Is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, he made it fun, so it wasn't like punitive, but it was a good exercise. But he always read a lot. But he would have us go to the dictionary and open it up and go, okay, find a word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting. So Steve Jobs mentioned in here that we were talking about Steve Jobs, and he was a spiritual and intense person, but he drove people crazy. Mm-hmm. But they'd also walk through walls for him.
Yeah.
I wonder why that was. They'd do anything for the guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I read a quote.
I'm thinking about
that
his
said,
leadership style.
Yeah, this is a leadership quote. Leaders don't create followers. Leaders create leaders. Now think about that. So, he wasn't really creating because, if they're going to walk across water for him or walk through fire, he's doing something right. He's
getting them fired up, right? Right.
Exactly right.
Well, I'm thinking about Bobby Knight, right?
Oh,
he had a lot of bad stories about him, but I've read a couple books about him, and the most of the guys that played for him thought he was great.
Right. Same thing with
Woody
Hayes.
He was tough as nails on me, but he made me play my best.
Woody Hayes, John Wooden.
Right. Very tough.
Mm-hmm.
Very tough. Very intense. Angry at times. It's a dilemma. But how do you channel that? How do you get to the point where it does create people, it creates a desire among people that they want to work with you?
Right.
So we'd recommend that you're kind to your people. Being assertive and aggressive are 2 different things.
Right.
Being assertive is fine. That's what we want, really, in our business leaders, is to be assertive. Just meaning that you've got a task to get done, it's got to get done, and you've got human beings that are actually executing things to get the task done, and you got to take care of them.
Well, and I think you have to treat people as individuals too.
Absolutely.
You have to treat them the way that they want to be treated.
Yes.
When you're teaching, you have to.
Not all kids are the same.
Not
right?
all kids are the same. Some of them need to be pushed. Some of them need to be.
Which is good news and bad news.
That's
right.
Some of them need a lot of attention. Some of them don't really like the attention. So, same with your employees.
Right. So we got to recognize their differences and be happy that they're different. And sometimes you have certain tasks that you can assign to one person and they'll love it and thrive.
Right.
You'll assign to somebody else and they'll hate it and they're not going to thrive. So you've got that ability as a leader to figure out, well, how do I channel the work in such a way that people love generally what they do. You don't always get to work on fun stuff, right?
Right.
Sometimes you have to do your budget. Darn it.
Paperwork,
all the
stuff
budget,
we don't like.
do reviews, all that kind of stuff. So when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this and then a little bit about our 90-day planning session coming up on March 2nd.
Okay.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
All right, so we're talking today about the benefits of being a misfit. This gentleman wrote a book about Leonardo da Vinci. It's Walter Isaacson, and we are going to read this. At least I am. It sounds interesting. You know? We were talking a little bit about Steve Jobs, and one of the big questions is did he have to be so mean? And if he hadn't been so mean, would he have stayed at the company longer? He was too much of a perfectionist at some point, and he actually got kicked out in '85, kicked out of the company because of his perfectionism. He held up the shipping of the original Macintosh because he looked inside a circuit board and tells the engineers that the circuit board itself is ugly. And they told him, Steve, it's in a sealed case. Nobody's going to see it. He said, I don't care. You'll know that it's ugly, even though they won't see it. And so that caused a big problem. You know, later on, they sent him a note. I'll move on to that from that. But he did learn over time. He did get better at that. But here it is. They gave him a sign when he came back to the company in the late 90s. They gave him a little sign that said, real artists ship. In other words, get the product out the door, dude.
Let's move it.
It's great to make it beautiful or perfect, but we got to ship the stuff, right? So it's kind of funny. And then Da Vinci kept the Mona Lisa for 16 years and put 200 to 300 little tiny brush strokes on the lips over the course of years just to get them perfect.
Mm-hmm. Well, did he do the Last Supper mural also? Do you know?
He did, yeah.
I think he did. And,
he did.
You know, they tasked him to do that, and then he drug it out and drug it out and drug it out. There was a big story around that. So.
Oh, yeah. He did a painting called Jerome in the Wilderness. He didn't ship it until it was finished. It was 25 years. He was working on the neck. 25 years. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he did say, the author goes back to Jobs and just said, hey, he did get better after he learned a couple hard lessons that he had liver cancer and other things, and when he came back, he actually did a little better, and he was a little kinder when he came back the second time. So
he had the kindness issue also?
Da Vinci, no. He just didn't interact with as many people. You know, he wasn't in charge of a big company. He was his own guy, right? Apparently,
on his own.
Like,
yeah.
I don't have to ship for 16 years, so. Or 25 in one case.
Yeah.
So, what do you think we can do? The other piece of advice that they give here after going through all this thing is to know what your strengths are and to go with your passions. If you're not passionate about it, particularly if you're the business owner, don't do it. Give it to somebody else. There's usually a person within your organization that would be passionate about something that you don't care about.
Yeah. Do you think that's why people followed Steve Jobs, his passion?
Oh, yeah. He was fanatical about things. And
yeah.
I think he drove people so hard that they created really cool stuff. And people are attracted to success.
Right.
When you create something that's really cool, people go, wow, I'd like to be on a team that did something like that, even if you do work your butt off.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care, right?
Right.
Because it gets you excited.
Right.
Even though it's hard, right?
Very hard. Well, I mean, and some things come easily to people. You know, it's just like when you were saying, hand it off to someone who would rather do that job. You know, with me, keeping the books, that's not really my favorite thing. There's a lot of stuff I really like to do, so I could hand off the book part.
Yeah.
You know, I could do my own taxes, but I don't because it'd just drive me nuts and I'd hate every minute of it. So I give it to an accountant who probably does it in 15 minutes. It'd take me days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got to delegate some of that stuff.
Right.
And figure out what it is that you're really passionate about. And if you're the owner of a fairly large business, there may be just a couple things that you really love now, right? One of the reasons we have a client in Texas who loves to sell, and his business has grown 50% over 2 years because he's out in the field more. And that's what he loves.
Right.
He is crazy about meeting people and providing them services and equipment. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's doing 80% of the time now, and the business is just taking off again. So that's really what we got to find out is where's your passion, and are you able to do enough of it in that area? And if not, why not?
Right. Do you think that sometimes business owners, as their business grows, they get taken away from the thing they really love, and they get to be more of a businessman than...
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and sometimes you don't enjoy that, and that's not that you don't have to do some of that.
Right.
However, if you can find things that the critical few that you as the business owner have to do, great. But if you can delegate a lot of it to someone else that's capable, fantastic. And they may love to do it more than you.
Exactly.
That's what we really want to find out.
Exactly. Do it more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if it's their passion, then you're going to get it done better.
Right.
Than if you did it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's a piece of homework, is you can write down for your own business, what is it that I'm most passionate about? And is it the same as it was 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Do a little reflection on that. And then think about, well, if that's my passion, or passions, maybe there's a couple of them, how am I structuring my week and my month so that I can spend time doing those things, or even helping the people do those things? I'm thinking about Jobs with his big company.
Right.
He was in the marketing meeting every week. He didn't do the work, but he brought ideas and contrast and questioning, and he got engaged in it every week.
Right.
And stirred things up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that's what excited them, though. Mm-hmm. And it drove the company. I mean, look at what they're doing. They're one of the biggest companies on the planet.
I know.
And they're getting bigger.
Well, yeah, they keep coming up, just like those watches they have now, that you can get your, I don't know what, your phone
your
and
email.
your email.
Yeah,
and,
right. I don't want one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have one. We know someone who does.
We know someone who does. Yep. Meeting over. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so our next thing is we want to talk a little bit about our 90-day planning session. So when we get together, we usually have a group of 45 to 50 people. March 2nd is the next 90-day planning session. And if you'd like to attend one of those things, give us a call, 614-306-7922, and we will get you signed up. And we've got a couple of tickets, and we'd love to have you come. We probably have 15 to 20 different businesses generally each time. And some are veterans that have been there for a long time, and some are new. And if you'd like to come and learn from other business owners and our coaches in our firm, we'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be Peg Burley and myself, Pete McDowell, and Dawn Hackett, and Michelle Calcasola.
That's right. We're excited.
Okay. So let's go back to your training for a minute. Now, you got done with training. What is one of the biggest things that you enjoyed about training? What was the most impactful part of it?
Well, it was interesting because I've worked with you guys for months now.
Right.
Months before I went to training, and there was this whole, it was pretty intensive. There were 4 weeks of video trainings plus 4 books to read.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Yeah. It was. It was very interesting. Yeah. And it was in Las Vegas. I'm not a gambler, so didn't spend or lose.
Not a smoker or a gambler. Huh?
I'm not either any of those things. We did have a cocktail or two while we were there.
That's good. Right. Got to have a hobby.
Yeah. Probably the thing that I liked the most about it was just the other people that I met and how bright and invested and warm and fun and just the great people that are involved, which I guess is how I'm getting into
the
this
different
business.
Coaches. Yeah,
because I
Where were they
like
from?
working with people. One was from Virginia.
Okay.
Down where your daughter is.
Okay. Great.
One was from Iowa.
Iowa. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
One was from Las
Dave
Vegas.
Drullo's territory. Okay.
Could be.
Vegas. Yeah.
One was from Vegas, and then one was from Dublin, Ireland.
Aye, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was nice to meet people from all over the place.
Right. And they all had different backgrounds. Generally, they're from all different types
They
of
did.
actual business backgrounds are
Right.
pretty various.
One was retail. Right. One was an owner of a power washing and window cleaning business.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
One came from a background of nursing.
Wow.
And then the other one was a business owner who's done a lot of different things.
Okay. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what the background is. It's having a natural curiosity, I think, and then you've got to want to work with people.
Right.
And help them to get more done.
And have a flair for working with people.
You have to actually be passionate about it
right.
and like it. Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
Like we say, get stuff done.
That's right.
That's what we do. We help people get stuff done.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Well, good. And did you get to meet Brad?
Oh, yes.
Brad Sugars came in. So what's Brad Sugars like?
He's a character.
Okay. Great.
He has a lot of passion. He has a lot of energy.
He does.
I talked with someone the other day about his style, and would his style work in the Midwest the way that he, he's a
brash,
warrior. He's
right?
brash. That's a good word for
Yeah.
it. He's brash, and that's probably not going to be my style.
That's okay.
But it seems to have worked for him.
Yes, it has. Yeah. He's pretty funny for an accountant. I didn't realize that's what his undergrad degree was in, is accounting, and it sounds way too boring for him.
I went to one of his restaurants. He owns a restaurant in, I don't know, one of the big hotels there. Maybe the Wynn, I think is where it was. And a little wine bar. It was nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so March 2nd is our 980 planning session. If anybody's interested in coming to that, give us a call, 614-306-7922. If you want to listen to past shows, they're on takeactionbusinesscoaching.com and click on the Business Talk icon.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.